Okay, so I'm gonna try and be as quick as possible because I have a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. So, the first piece that we needed to talk about was Legacies. It was written in 1972, and the author was Nikki Giovanni, and she emerged during the Civil Rights Movement in the late 1960s and was celebrated for her strong and powerful political works. The piece Legacies is one of her later works, and it was in a book that she made called My House. This book was more about her home life and growing up around different generations of Black women. Um, while it isn't outright political, it shows Giovanni's roots and how she transformed into a woman she became to be. In Legacy, she's a young girl. She looks highly upon her grandmother, and knows she depends on her wisdom. Um, when her grandmother tells her that she wants Giovanni to make rolls, Giovanni declines. Her grandmother is frustrated. She doesn't know how Giovanni feels, and she just views her as a child that doesn't want to help her grandmother. This poem, I like this poem because it shows the importance of grandmothers to young Black children. They are the embodiment of wisdom as well as structure and discipline. While they might be strict, they're always there when their grandchildren need them, especially when the parents are not always available or even there at all. This is an issue I think um, for that a lot of Black children faced, even more so today than they did shortly after the Civil Rights Movement. While I know plenty of Black families that are close and have both strong mother and father figures, there are plenty that are without. Um, and sadly, it's more so the father that's gone and the mother to be left alone with the child. And then these mothers look for support from their mothers, who seem to be the glue to keep the house together. While many individuals turn out to be strong, independent adults, it's still a struggle during childhood to be without one or more parents. So I might have read too much into this, but that's what I got from that poem. The next one is the one written by Susan Glaspell, and this was written in 1916. This is a time when men were like the breadwinners and the women stayed at home. This story is about Mrs. Wright and her recently murdered husband, and even though the main problem of the story is figuring out who killed Mrs. Wright's husband, there's an underlying issue. Basically, the men, mainly the sheriff, view the women as just women and believe the matter which they focus themselves on is trivial. Because of this, he overlooks key details, and actually he would end up finding out that Mrs. Wright was the one that actually killed him. The women understood Mrs. Wright, and they knew that she had a mean husband who didn't like children and therefore made her very sad and lonely. And the only thing she did have to keep her company was a small bird, which he killed. So Mrs. Wright snapped and killed her husband. The women hid the bird, which is basically evidence of murder, because they empathized with her. The main issue, but getting back to the main issue, back in the day, the mentality that men were better than women and women shouldn't be educated or have jobs. While a very select few might still view it this way, which I don't know anyone, but there might still be out there, I think most of our society knows that women are equal to men. I will say this, though. I think some feminists have gone too far, and some think that men should be put down and women are better. I could go into so much more about this, but I will leave it at this. While overall view of sex equality has become better over time, I believe that there's still a struggle in regards to both men and women viewing the opposite sex as equals. So, the last piece. Trying to talk quickly. Sorry. Shirley Jackson, written in 1948. It's called The Lottery. I found this one hard to find an exact issue with just the female characters. I found it with like a whole societal thing. In this alternate reality, killing someone via a lottery keeps peace and prosperity in the community. There are so many things that could be taken from the story, but I guess the main issue would be blind followership. Blindly following something that is dead and harmful in the name of tradition. So none of these characters in the story were alive during the first lottery. They don't know why or how it was started, but they still follow it. And worse, they call anyone who doesn't continue the lottery crazy fools. So I think blind followership is an issue today and will always be an issue. There are plenty of people out there who don't, won't, or can't think for themselves and will blindly follow someone or something, even if it's to their detriment. Normally, this is behavior resembled by cults, but we see it in less extreme groups of people as well. We see it in some religions. We see people doing it in social media and even in local communities. The issue of blind followership will continue to repeat itself in many different forms with many different people, even after someone says, wait, this isn't right. It's just the humanity's flaw. So that's why individualism and the freedom to express an opinion, even if it's an unpopular one and it might offend someone, it is the paramount to free society.